September favorites. Again, I cannot believe we're in October now and we're doing my September favorites video. It has definitely been a bit of a whirlwind for me the past couple of weeks. I've had quite a few things coming up still, and I had a couple of things that were so much fun the past 2 weeks. I did go to the Panic at the Disco concert back at the end of September, and then I did just go to Comic-Con, my first ever Comic-Con this past Saturday, and I had such a blast for both of these things. Like, I've been wanting to go to a concert again for the longest time since, you know, things have kind of gotten a bit lighter because of COVID and everything. The past 2 years, I wasn't really able to go to a concert, so I am super excited that I was able to go to something this past September, and then Comic-Con was just absolutely magical. It was so much fun, and I had the absolute best time. So I'm just kind of still on a high from that, but I'm also very, very tired because I did have Comic-Con Saturday, and then yesterday I did work, and we had a store meeting in the morning. I did get home from the city at like 11 o'clock on Saturday night, and then I had the store meeting yesterday morning. So I was pretty tired this weekend. I'm still kind of trying to recharge a little bit. I am at least off today, and I just wanted to film my favorites video finally. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with eyeshadow palettes. So I haven't really been that great about sticking to my one palette a month rule. I kind of been getting quite a few palettes here and there in the month of September and this past August. But there were some things I was interested in for this past month. So this was supposed to be my only September palette, but I kind of got a couple of other ones, but it's definitely been one of my most used palettes this past month, and that is the Sigma New Mod palette. I'm actually wearing it on my eyes today. I think that this palette is gorgeous. I've been wearing it in quite a few videos recently. I think I wore it in my haul video this past week. I do need a scissor for this. Where did I just put my scissor? I was like, I don't need it anymore because I'm going to be able to open these things, and I definitely cannot. So let's open it up with a pair of scissors. So I wanted to do like this berry tone look today, and the reason why I really love this palette is because I wanted to get this palette because of the berry tones in it, but I also love that there's not just a berry toned side to it, but there's also... Drop everything. I've just been dropping everything lately, and it drives me crazy. So let's just drop everything. Let's just start off with doing that because I absolutely have no room on this desk. It drives me insane. So it does come with a brush, which I do love, and that's what I just dropped on the floor. But I love this brush so much. But I have been talking about this palette quite a bit. I just think this palette is beautiful. I really do love it. So the mattes just perform so easy, very pigmented, smooth and buttery, and they just blend so beautifully together. And then the shimmers are just so ridiculously sparkly and beautiful in person. Like, honestly, you truly won't experience the magicness of and the magical sparkle of Sigma eyeshadows and shimmers until you put them on your lid and until you get them in person. Like, there's so many beautiful multi-dimensional glitters in every single shimmer in this palette and in Sigma palettes in general. They're just so beautiful. I'm absolutely blown away by their formula still, and this palette is no exception. That's why I wanted to get another palette after I got the Ambiance palette. I absolutely fell in love with that one, and this one is no exception. And I feel like since I've been dipping into it here and there every week, I've been not getting as bored with the mattes in this palette because I do love the mattes and the shimmers in this palette, but I like the matte selection a little bit more in the Ambiance palette. Not that those aren't like super similar, but I feel like if there would have been like one more like brown color in here, I wouldn't have been as, you know, thinking that it's as monotonous using the mattes in here because they can get a bit repetitive. But I do love the berry tone mattes that I picked for this palette. They work beautifully. But it really is the shimmers that shine and really are the star of Sigma's palettes. They're absolutely gorgeous. So for my eyes today, I used the signature shade, that's the title shade in this palette, which is New Mod, in my crease. Then I darkened up the crease more with this beautiful purpley berry color, and that is Voguish. I put that on the defining shade. And then on the outer corners, I used the shade Edgy, but I wanted a tiny more bit of depth and dimension, so I did just use a tiny bit of the shade Street Style, which is kind of a more chocolatey brown. And then for the lid, I can't with my phone sometimes. I can't. And then for the lid, I used the shade Artsy, which is such a gorgeous, like, super sparkly, like, purpley pink shimmer. It's so ridiculously stunning. I was going to use Flashy, but I did use that in my first impressions, and I haven't used it since then, but Artsy was just calling my name today, so I had to use that color. And then for my brow bone, I always use this shade, which is Preppy. It's such a good brow bone highlight. I love it. And then for the inner corners, I went in with Avant-Garde, which is such a gorgeous, like, purpley, silvery, duochrome, sparkly beautifulness. And that's my look for today. And I'm obsessed. I love it. It's so beautiful. So I really can't say anything else about this palette. It's gorgeous. And if you haven't tried Sigma eyeshadows, I highly suggest that you do, because a lot of people are a fan of their formula for good reason, because they are just absolutely stunning shadows. So I really did not expect to be this blown away by their palettes, but they're honestly so gorgeous. So this one is Artsy, this one is Vintage, and this one is Avant-Garde. So there are some of the sparkly shimmers for you guys. They're just so gorgeous. Swatches don't really do them justice. Like, once you put them on your lid, you really do see how beautiful they are. And then I'll swatch a couple of the mattes. I'm not going to swatch too many shades, but again, their mattes are just so smooth. And they actually swatch really smooth as well. Very beautiful. So that one is Voguish. That one is New Mod, and that one is Sophisticated. And just the mattes just blend themselves, and they're so pigmented and beautiful. So absolutely obsessed with this palette, and I can't wait to use it more. I'm glad I've been able to use it a bit more lately. And it's just beautiful. I did use this both times that I went to temple for Yom Kippur and also for Rosh Hashanah. And they were both just beautiful looks. I just did really easy, like, cool tone looks with the neutral shades in this palette, and they just both turned out absolutely stunning. And this look is no exception. It's absolutely beautiful. So that is the first eyeshadow palette. And then the second one, I have revisited this only a couple times in the month of September. I don't know why such a big piece of fuzz just flew across the screen. Like, that was huge. So the next palette I wanted to talk about is the Melt Muerte palette. And this is not my absolute favorite formula by no means, but I do actually find that these are probably the driest shimmers that I've ever used for Melt. I do think that the other palettes that I have for Melt, I actually prefer a little bit more than this formula that's in this palette, but I just absolutely love the color story of this, and I was actually able to revisit it like twice in the month of September. I did grab the mint shades again, and I was able to do a look with those, and that's definitely my favorite look that I do from this palette. But this shimmer, Angelito, is just so ridiculously dry, but it does show up really beautifully on the lid. I just wish it wasn't as dry as it is, but once you have it on the lid, I've kind of been preferring drier shimmers lately because they have a longer longevity on the lid, and they also don't transfer as much as, like, more wet shimmers do. Like, the Sigma wet shimmers are what I prefer over the ones that were in the Adept Cosmetics palette. Like, this formula from Sigma, like Sigma eyeshadows in general, I would compare it to Adept Cosmetics formula because they're very similar in the shimmer formula, because they have that very wet, super sparkly shimmer formula, but I prefer Sigma's formula over Adept because I think that Sigma's mattes are way better than the Adept mattes. And it's not just me that I've had an issue with Adept's mattes. Also, Morgan Turner did comment on that she didn't really love their mattes, but she loved the shimmers. But she also said that you can get some transfer from them, and that's exactly how I thought about the Adept shimmers. So that's why I prefer the Sigma ones. But with this palette, the mattes in here are beautiful. They blend so well, but I did find that I had some issues with the reds again, and I did do that look again along with the mint look. I didn't dip into these this brighter red again and this other shimmer, but I usually use this one on the inner corners. But I was able to use one of my other melt palettes this past month, and that was the Waiting Room palette. I did use that for my Panic at the Disco concert, and I did film a full Get Ready With Me, and that is already up on my channel. I posted that like 2 weeks ago already. And I did find that the red shades in that palette as well did not blend that great. Same thing with these. But the like shimmers and the other like deeper shades, like these shades here, they blend out so well. So I just think that they need to work on some of their brighter colors, but it still turns out beautiful. I love this color scheme, and I hope that I can dip into this palette a bit more in the month of October because I feel like that's such a good time to use this guy. But I do have one other melt palette that I really want to dip into, which is the Rust palette, because that's like my perfect fall neutral palette. But this is a very pretty one, and I don't regret buying it at all. I'm glad that I finally own this palette. And I was using it for a couple of looks, and I did actually reach into it a little bit more than I thought I would, actually owning this palette. Because when this palette did come out, I wasn't sure if I was going to use it enough, but I think I've used it more so than I thought. Okay, and then the last eyeshadow palette I want to talk about is, of course, a Colourpop palette, but I actually think this is probably their best palette they've released this year, and it's unfortunate because of the controversy that did come with this release, and that is the Colourpop and Harry Potter Back to Hogwarts palette. I can't say that I don't love this palette. I think that this is pretty much their best palette they've released all year. I'm just going to give it to it hands down. I think that this is my favorite Colourpop palette that I've tried this entire year because the formula is just so good in this palette. I really am so impressed with the formula. The mattes blend so beautifully, and they blend so easily. Like 1, 2, 3, you're done. Like they're just so easy to use. And the shimmers in here are so magical on the lid. That's just one of my reminders. They're just so beautiful and sparkly and pigmented. Again, they don't really swatch as well as they do perform on the lid. They're just so magical on the lid. This shade Patronus is so gorgeous on the lid. That's probably one of my favorites in the palette. The Invisibility Cloak shade, that is the Tie-Dye Super Shock, is so beautiful on the lid. That was the shade that I used in my first impressions video, and I will have another look coming with this palette. I'm just going to get my favorites video up first. I did just post a first impressions on another palette when I'm filming this favorites video today, but I do use this shade in my first impressions, and it's so gorgeous. And I really love like these warm tone shimmers, this row of deepening mattes, this blue shade Patronus, and Slytherin, this green shade. I've been using them quite a bit to add some depth and dimension to some other looks that I've been doing. Like I used this shade Slytherin with the Melt Cosmetics palette, and I used this on the lower lash line, and it was so pretty. So I've just been really enjoying this palette. It's so beyond gorgeous, and again, it's kind of a shame because of what it's attached to. Because, you know, I just think J.K. Rowling's a little cray-cray, but it is a gorgeous palette. So this one is Patronus, this one is Gillyweed, and this one is Hungarian Horntail. Again, they're really not going to swatch the greatest, but they are so gorgeous on the eyes. So this one is Patronus, Gillyweed, and a Hungarian Horntail. Just such beautiful shades. Always a mess. Always a hot mess. And then I'm just going to swatch like 1 or 2 more of the shimmers because I don't want to swatch all of them. So that one is Golden Snitch and that one is Lumus. I've been using Loomis so much as an inner corner highlight, but it's also stunning all over the lid. Golden Snitch is, of course, like a beautiful yellow tone shimmer, and Loomis is such a gorgeous, like, shifty, whitish shade. It's just so gorgeous. It's very multi-dimensional. Like, it does have a beautiful, like, duochromeness to it. And then I'll just swatch a couple of the matte shades. I kind of swatched almost the same shades in my, I forgot which, video that I talked about this in. Oh yeah, my makeup haul, duh. So this one is Patronus, this one is Slytherin, and this one is Gryffindor. Do you see how pigmented those are? Like, those are some of the most pigmented mattes I've ever had from Colourpop. And they're just so good. Like, again, they're not going to swatch that great, but they really are so easy to use on the eye. So this one is Ravenclaw, this one is Slytherin, and this one is Gryffindor. And I'm just so impressed with the formula of this. I think it's just so beautiful. And it's a shame that there was just so much controversy about this, because I don't think Colourpop necessarily deserved all the backlash about it. Like, they had a license deal with Warner Brothers. Like, they're working with Warner Brothers. It's just people are so upset because J.K. Rowling is profiting from this. But you take it with a grain of salt if you want to support it or not. I'm not going to get into the controversy anymore. I did do a whole live about it. I just do think that this is a gorgeous palette. So I really did love this guy. So I'm going to continue to use it in the month of October and hopefully November as well. Okay, so let's get into some cheek products. Again, I haven't really tried any new like complexion products or like primer products lately. Like, I really have just been sticking to a no-buy for primers, foundations, and concealers. And also mascaras. I only picked up one mascara this past month. So I have been doing pretty good in those categories, and also bronzers. And then I really slowed down with blush and highlighter purchases the past month or two. So I only have 2 blushes to talk about, but these were 2 blushes that I really, really wanted to try. And also, since Sigma was doing their 40% off on their website for like a weekend, I wanted to pick up one of the blushes with the eyeshadow palette. And the blush I wanted to talk about is the Sigma blush in the shade Cordurosa. This is such a good formula, you guys. I cannot believe how good their blush and highlight formula is as well. I really do love this blush. I'm actually wearing it on my cheeks today because I wanted to wear it with the palette. And I have worn this a couple of times, I think like 3 times this past month. And it's just such a beautiful, like, it's not necessarily like a super orangey shade, but it's not like super pink. It's kind of like a peachy, warm tone terracotta, and it's just such a gorgeous blush. And they have such an amazing formula. It's just so pigmented and easy to apply. It's very velvety smooth, and it swatches so well. Like, it's so velvety smooth, and for a blush it swatches great. So that is the Cordurosa shade, and it's just so super smooth and easy to apply on the cheeks. So I absolutely love this blush, and I've been using it quite a bit, and I can't wait to use it some more. But it's just so pigmented, and you barely have to put your brush in there, and it just applies so easily. But it's not like, oh my god, like, I can't blend this out. It's pigmented, but it also blends out so well. So yeah, absolutely love this blush. And then the other blush is the one from the House Labs Casa Gaga collection, and this one is the shade Spritz. And this one is a really gorgeous color, and it's a very unique color to my collection. I really don't have any colors like this out of all the blushes that I own, because I have a pretty extensive blush and highlight collection. This is a really gorgeous blush and very unique for me. So it's kind of like a warm tone, like orangey, pinky shade, and it's just so gorgeous. And again, the formula of this is really, really beautiful. It's not as bright and in your face on your cheeks as you would expect it to be, and it also has kind of like a bit of a sheen to it. It's just so pretty, and I really do want to dip into it some more soon. I think I've only used it a couple of times, and I think it's just such a pretty blush. I'm sorry, I keep on dropping so many things, and it's driving me crazy. So that is the Casa Gaga blush. If I could just move everything out of the fucking way. And then let's get into just one highlighter. I only picked up, I think, 2 highlighters from that video, because I only picked up stuff from Sigma, Casa Gaga, and from Colourpop and Nomad. And the other highlighter is the Casa Gaga House Labs highlighter in the shade Luce del Sol. The other things that I got at the end of September, I haven't really used that much in September, because again, I used them got them at the end of September, so I really have been using them this past week or so. So this is the shade Luce del Sol, and this was the only highlighter in that collection. This has such a beautiful, like, super gel-like, but also very easy, simple, smooth, beautiful, like, gel-like formula. Gel was the word I was looking for, and it's just so stunning. It's such a gorgeous, like, goldeny highlighter. I almost wore it today, but I wanted to use a highlighter that I haven't used in a long time. But this is just such a stunning highlighter on the cheeks. I love it. And I've always really loved Gaga's cheek products. I think she makes gorgeous cheek products, and every single one that I've tried really has been very, very beautiful. So that is the only highlighter I'm going to talk about. I mean, I used my Give Me Glow highlighters again. I used my Nomad highlighters again. But these are all things that are not new to my collection. So, okay. And then as far as, and I really didn't try too many mascaras at all. And I didn't get any new eyeliners. I mean, I could mention some of the eyeliners that I have, but honestly, like, there's no point if they're not new, honestly. And I know that there's some favorites videos where they, you know, say, oh, I used this so much, and it went back to one of my favorite things, and I used it a lot, but that's not really me. I did use the Colourpop bronzer quite a bit this past month, though, again, because once I start using this bronzer again, I can't stop using it. It's just such a gorgeous bronzer. So this is the Colourpop matte bronzer in the shade Alviva Beach, and it's just such a gorgeous bronzer. The reason why I love this for this time of year is that it's not too warm tone and it's not too cool tone, and it goes with so many looks. I used this for Comic-Con. I used this for, I think I used this for the concert as well. I can't remember, but I've been reaching for it quite a bit again. And it's just such an easy, super velvety, smooth bronzer, but it's also very pigmented. And it's just such an easy formula. I mean, they really do make some amazing complexion products, and this is no exception. It's beautiful. And then as far as, like, foundations and stuff go, I have been dipping into a lot of, like, foundations that I love, like the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation, the Valentino foundation, but again, they're not new foundations, so I'm just not going to talk about them. And now all we have left is lip products. Okay, before we get into the lip products, I actually do have one more highlighter that I almost forgot to talk about. That's what would happen in Caitlin's favorites videos, is that I forget everything when I actually want to talk about it. So the last highlighter is the Harry Potter and Buckbeak highlighter that I got from the Colourpop and Harry Potter collection. And I've only used this like twice. I'm not like absolutely thrilled with this because I don't think it's really anything that special. Like, I don't think this really adds too much to my collection, but it is a very pretty, like, taupey highlighter. And it's very pretty on the cheeks and everything, but when it comes to, like, the magicalness of Harry Potter, once you actually, like, swirl this together, it's not really that, like, multi-dimensional. Like, they do have, like, this tie-dye print in the highlighter, but it doesn't really swatch like that. It kind of just swatches like a cool tone taupey color. And again, it's not like I really have that many shades from Colourpop like this. The only other, like, cool toned highlighter that I have from Colourpop is the one from the Maleficent highlighter from the Villains collection, and the highlighter from the Tinkerbell collection, which is called Happy Thoughts, I believe. So this one's kind of more taupey tone. The Happy Thoughts one is a bit more like silvery taupe, and it's pretty and I like it, but again, it's not like anything to be like, oh my god, you need this. I think that but it's still very pretty, so I just wanted to mention it. It's not like it's not a favorite. But if I was going to go for something more magical, I would have gotten the Hedwig one. And I was really thinking about getting that one. But then I was like, I'm not going to wear it as much as this. But now I kind of regret not getting that one. This is kind of like a whitish, bluish lavender. And that's kind of how it shows up on your cheeks. And that would have been so pretty and perfect for me to wear at Comic-Con. But I wore something else. But this is very pretty. But I just feel like I should have gotten that. That other highlighter. There's always something that I regret not getting from Colourpop's collections, like the Wine and Only blush. I should have gotten one of those. The lavender blush from the Lilac You a Lot collection, like stuff like that they don't have available anymore. And then speaking of lippies and the Harry Potter collection, I did want to mention the 2 lippies that I got from the collection. So the first one is the shade Hermione Granger, and this one's more of like a pinky nude kind of color, and these are both from the Luxe Velvet formula, or they are the Luxe Velvet formula, and I like these. They're very pretty and easy to wear. They're just a bit more drier than the Luxe Velvet formula that I'm used to, so it kind of takes a little bit longer to build up the pigment on your lips, but once you do, it's so pretty, and I really love this color for Hermione. I think they did a great job with the shade selection of these. I know some people are like, we're tired of the same colors for every collection, but I actually thought these colors were really pretty for this collection. And then this is the Ron Weasley one, which is my favorite one out of the 2, because this is such a pretty like burnt orange color. They basically tried to replicate the color of his hair, but it's a bit more of a like terracotta-y orange. It's a bit darker than his hair color. But I'm kind of like super into that, and this is such a beautiful fall orange because it's not like super pigmented on your lips because it has more of that sheer pillowy texture to it. It's just such a gorgeous like orangey, more like pillowy kind of formula. So it's not like super pigmented, it's much more like wearable. So if you're like kind of looking for a more wearable, less pigmented kind of formula, the Luxe Velvet lipsticks from Colourpop are beautiful, and they're very easy to wear. They're not drying whatsoever to be a liquid lipstick. They're so pretty. And then also with my Sigma order, I did receive this free little lipstick set of their liquid lipsticks. So I wanted to mention these because I actually really ended up liking these quite a bit. And I have used all of them once so far, and I do think that they're really, really nice. So the first one is New Mod, and this one is obviously the one that is named after the New Mod palette. I just think these are such pretty lippies to go with the New Mod palette, so that is the New Mod shade. This one is, they're such microscopic names though, it's kind of hard to read them. This one is Fable. Oh my god, it's so small. And this is like probably my favorite color. It's a really pretty like berry tone pinky color, but it's like kind of like a deeper berry, but it's not too pink. It's such a gorgeous shade. It's that one right there. And then the last one is the most like pinky shade, and this one I think is called Awaken. Yeah, it's called Awaken. And this one's a really beautiful like super pink color, but it's not like a super bright one. It's kind of more of like an understated pink, but they have a really nice formula to them. So I'm happy that I got to try their liquid lipsticks in this little set. It came free with the order, so I thought that was a great deal. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll try these. They're really, really nice. So I'm glad I was able to try a new liquid lipstick formula. And then the last lippy is the Colourpop Glowing Lip in the shade Cockatoo. I almost wore this one today, but I just wanted to mention this one again because I did use it quite a bit in the month of September, and it's just such a beautiful, like, more sheer pink shade, and I love the glowing lip formula. It's just so pretty, and it just, like, shines and really, like, adds, like, a beautiful, sheen to your lips, but also adds, like, a really beautiful amount of pigment, and it's just so pretty. So that is everything when it comes to makeup. I just want to like wipe off some of these liquid lipstick swatches. I don't really have anything clothing wise. I just want to just show you guys something that I got from Comic-Con, and I just wanted to show you guys in this video because it's going to be a favorite for pretty much the rest of the year, and I didn't want to wait to talk about it in my October favorites, so I'm just going to talk about it now. Even though I didn't pick it up until Comic-Con, but this is what I got from Comic-Con, and I just want to share it with you guys because I'm already like freaking obsessed with it. So what I wanted to show you guys is this purse that I picked up at Comic-Con, and it's a Loungefly tote bag. And I've always been dying to get a Loungefly bag from this line because I absolutely love Loungefly, and I've always been like dying to get one because y'all know how much I love Disney, and I just thought that this purse was so pretty when I saw it, and I was like, I really wanted to get something special from Comic-Con, and I really wanted something that was, you know, really well made and something that I was going to use a lot. So I decided to get, is that a little stain? That's probably from me. So I decided to get the Sleeping Beauty and Princess Aurora one. Y'all know that Sleeping Beauty is my all-time favorite princess and one of my favorite Disney movies ever. So the front of it has Aurora on it with Prince Philip, and they're dancing in the clouds like they were when the dress was changing at the end, and they show at the end that they're like dancing in the clouds. So that is this image here, and I'm absolutely obsessed. I think it's so beautiful. And I love the shape of this bag, and I love the baby blue color with the blue straps. I'm just obsessed, and it says Disney Loungefly on the top. And then on the back is a completely different design and picture and a frame from the movie, and it has the Sleeping Beauty castle, and it has Sleeping Beauty as Briar Rose with the bunnies and the chipmunks and the birdies and the owl, and then it also has the three fairies, Merryweather, Flora, and Fauna, and Merryweather. How freaking adorable, right? I think it's so cute, and I can't wait to use it more. I already used it yesterday, and I brought it to work, to the staff meeting and everything, and everybody was like, oh my god, we're obsessed with your bag. Did you get it at Comic-Con? Because they were asking me about it, and I was like, yeah, I freaking love it. And I think that's it. I don't remember what else I was going to say. Oh, I actually looked at the website to see if there really was anything that I missed that I would have liked possibly, and I would have been torn between like certain ones, because I just found this one at the Loungefly stand, and it was pretty big, and she told me it was like not even $60, and I was like, I'm taking it. I was like, I love it. And then I looked on the website, and it's actually $50 on the website, but it's okay because like I know that they have to make some money working that day, but also like I just think it's such a pretty bag. And after looking through the website and everything on Loungefly, I was browsing through Hot Topic last night because they obviously have them as well. And they have a lot of them. Definitely some different ones compared to the Loungefly website. But out of all the ones that I saw on the Loungefly website, I was like, this is the one I still really love. Because they also don't make that shape of the tote bag really anymore. It's more of like a square shaped one, and I don't like that one as much as the round shaped one. So I'm so glad that that was the one that I got with the Disney princess that I love in the shape that I like too. So yeah, that is it, you guys. That's all I have for you guys today. I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my Poshmark at the same handle. We'll see how my October favorites is, but I do have a couple of eyeshadow palettes that I got at the end of September that I will be able to talk about in October, and then we'll see what other favorites I have. But I am going to be on a strict no-buy this month because I have the wineries on Friday that I'm going to, and then next week is like finally where I don't have anything going on, and then the week after that is my friend's bachelorette party. And then my friend's wedding is the second week of November. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff still coming up. So yeah, I love you guys so much. Bye. And let me know what your favorites were in the comments below. And if you guys have tried any of these products, please let me know. I'm a nosy bitch. Okay, bye.